I saw Elvis. And I'm not talking about the 80s when everybody had a sighting. I saw Elvis coming out of the coop, I saw Elvis over at the grocery store. No, I saw Elvis, the king of rock and roll, in person. And I was not into, at this time in my life, I was not into the king of rock and roll. And one of the main reasons, probably the only reason, is because my mother loved Elvis. And I officially hated my mother with all my heart and soul. And I couldn't possibly like anything she liked. And my mother was the bane of my existence at the time. When I got a ticket for Elvis placed in my hand by one of my brother's friends who had just gotten out of rehab and decided that he was going to join the Air Force. Darlene, this is for you. And I said, I don't want it. I don't want it. I didn't have anything to do with Elvis except that the only book in our house, the only reading material in our house was the National Enquirer. And at this time, Elvis was struggling and dragging himself through life. But every week he was on the cover of the Enquirer, which my mother read cover to cover. And when she wasn't around, I slavered over every detail about Elvis. And I was just so disgusted with him because I had gone to college. And I was the only one in my family who had done that. And my mother would say, she's a reader. My mother didn't approve of me going to college. She was like in revenge with me. And she would sit there and go, well, I don't see why you need to go to college. You're not doing anything. I have a business. This is my mother's business. She runs illegal gambling operations out of the house. She's a bookie. She takes bets from Hialeah, Berkshire Downs, Pownell. She watches for cops, which come all the time because our neighborhood is a dump. It's the scariest place. People throw each other off the porch when they get drunk. And my mother goes and freaks out and tries to hide all her betting things and stuff them into her bra, and they're falling out the bottom. She's freaking out. And so, this is where I live, and I hate my mother. I blame her for everything. And she mocks me because I went to college, and she has a business, which in a way she does. And she goes to his poker games 3 nights a week. It's basically nonstop. When I got up in the morning from the time I was 8 years old, pancake of smoke over the table, and my mother's sitting there, they're like zombies. They go days and days and days. So now I know that everything that happened to me is my mother's fault. So now I can hate her all the time openly. So I don't want to go. And Joe says, I said, I know. She said, Darlene, you don't know about Elvis. And I said, I've been reading the Enquirer for 52 weeks in a row, and I know everything there is to know about him. I know he's on Quaaludes. I know he's up 280 pounds. They keep saying he's on his deathbed, and then he has another concert. So I had no intention. Joe went away, and then Joe sends me a note and says, they're picking you up on the night of the concert. Be ready. So somebody pulls up to the house, and I go in, and my mother's like, your friends are there. And I don't even know who they are, the people I don't even know. And I get in the car. They let out to set me in the middle. There's 2 guys in the front and 2 guys in the back. And the guy in the front driving is named Jack. And I don't remember any other names, but I know that the 2 girls rhymed. It might have been like Jenny and Penny. And I remember I said some funny thing like, Henny, whatever rhymed after that, just to be funny. And I just thought it was a spoof because they had these hot pants that came like up to here. And the guys, he gets out of the car to open the door for me, and he's got this belt buckle like the size of a dinner plate with Elvis on the front. So me, I've been to college and I study literature, so I said, nice costumes. And so we drove around, and he's there, Joe tells me you've never been to an Elvis concert. I'm like, no, I just haven't had the time to do that, too busy reading the Enquirer. And the next 2 hours on the way to Hartford, I learned Elvis lore, Elvis history, Elvis life, and he's constantly driving and turning around and looking at me. I'm directly behind him, and I'm going, yeah, trying to do that. And you're a virgin if you've never been to that really pissed me. You're a virgin. I'm like, something? You don't know me. So I'm the little virgin going to there's no one else who's ever going for their first time. I'm the little virgin. And so by the time, it's really, so one of the things I learned, by the time I was done with that car, I knew without a doubt that these were not costumes. And I knew that they thought, because they said this many times, that the words to In the Ghetto were just unbelievable. And, you know, I'm an English major, and I'm thinking, yeah, those are really heavy, you know. In a cold and gray Chicago morning, another little baby child is born in the ghetto. I'm like, yeah, that's heavy, you know, going right along with it. So we go in, and they're packing up, and they got a bag of towels and all this. I'm like, what's the towels? He goes, you'll see. I'm like, okay. So we go in, and we keep going closer and closer and closer, and we're in the 18th row, and they're like the crucial 18th row. And again, you'll find out why. So Elvis comes out, and it's all dark, and they're ladies and gentlemen, and he comes out, and really people are screaming everywhere. It's like an Amway convention, and I'm not feeling it. And I'm like, I feel sorry for these people. And then he goes like this. It was so sad. And when he comes out, he's like wobbling on his way out. And it was like he was squeezed into something, but, you know, it was popping out. And all I could do was look at this white studded thing going, this guy is a mess. This is like sad. I shouldn't be. This is sad. This is wrong of me. You know, I mock everything. And I've mocked him for, now I'm watching the spectacle like the P.T. Barnum thing. And I'm feeling really bad about myself. And he starts singing, and he does this to his lip. And wherever he points his lip, people go crazy, you know, and they act like they're fainting. And I'm like, I don't know if I can watch this. And then he says, this lip used to curl a lot easier. And I thought, yeah, no shit. I mean, you know, you look like you're going to die. And as the concert went on, something happened. I couldn't help it. My cynicism disappeared. All I could see was how unbelievable he was. And this was all wrong. This is not the way it's supposed to be. And I was trying to fight it, but it was real. I'll finish it. 30 seconds. And I realized this is real. And I didn't feel good about myself. And by the end of that concert, right near the end, they pushed everybody out in the aisle, and I ended up right on the front of the stage, where he leaned over and dropped a scarf on the other girl's neck and kissed her on the lips. And I saw this sweat. I was right next to her, and I staggered back, and that was the end of it. And so I can't go anywhere. But anyway, I learned my lesson. I met the king of rock and roll, and when you look at the king of rock and roll, and he looks at you, things change. And I did.